I will create the Google Docs page where we can take notes. How's it going? Do you have any questions? Maybe do a quick intro about yourself if this is your first time joining. I apologize, we can't hear you. Could you try your mic again?
All right, could you hear me now?
Yeah, yes, better. Yeah, thank you.
I'm from UCL Computer Science, and you can call me Sabrina. And I'm here to join my summer project to collaborate with Cisco on my summer project. But
Yeah,
I'm still not settled on which topic I'll be doing. So Hassis introduced me to join and to know about what your project is doing.
yeah, great. That's awesome. Yeah, thank you and welcome. I think I saw you on the on an internal Teams basis, so thank you for joining. So I am going to post the notes here. I'm just taking intern Tim. I'll put my name obviously here. Okay. Great. So sorry to interrupt, Abdul. Please go ahead. I think if you have anything to show in terms of autonomous agents or triggers.
Yeah, I'm just saving my progress. Do you want me to like show like all the features?
Yeah, I think Tim hasn't seen it, so it would be good to catch Tim up. And since we are recording the call, this will be posted on our YouTube channel, like the Canoe YouTube channel. We will eventually move to Cape's own YouTube channel, so maybe it'll be good to introduce what we're doing with the autonomous triggers. And yeah, Sabrina, we can also catch up offline on some of the things we could do as enhancements. Yeah.
I have one question. So like before going on, so like when SSO is like disabled, so what we did is that only admin could create autonomous tasks. So like we have like this one environment variable where, let's say like if any company like wants to enable it, so there is a separate environment variable where you can like only admin can access the creation of autonomous scroll interval tasks. So like it gets easier for if you wanna like if they wanna like integrate it, but not give everyone like the access to like just create any autonomous task. I think that was like one concern. So the feature can like be permanently disabled within one environment variable, or what you could do is that you could enable it and you could just disable the access to like any user, so like only admins can create it. I'm like shifting to like my own like Windows PC because Docker MongoDB doesn't work on this cloud PC, so it will like take like maybe like 5 minutes if you wanna like go ahead with something.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, we can cover other topics. So Tim, do you want to continue on the WebEx questions? Do you have anything that you wanted to specifically ask about WebEx?
I don't think I have any questions yet on specifics. Mainly just awareness that I'm looking at it and having some look at the Slack version of things and trying to understand the differences with um, the the 040 designs changes, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's either way. Yeah, I think in the old architecture, you would be talking A to A to the supervisor.
Yeah.
In the new architecture, there is code in the Slack bot, which I think can be common, or at least you can start as that could be the basis for streaming. Yeah, and then the WebEx side of things should be fairly self-contained. So we did have this working at some point with with our Jarvis internal agent. So it should eventually, it should basically work once you have the right credentials, etc.
Okay.
Yeah. I think eventually the goal is to be able to, even in the Slack bot use case, there is a static configuration that maps a Slack bot to a given like Slack channel. So we want to do something similar where, and also there is this channel to agent mapping. The bot is just
functional.
Yeah. So
yeah,
you want to do the same with the WebEx space. So take the WebEx space UUID and say that this space maps to this agent. Probably you can get away with that in the current release. In the next release, some of that UI is getting built. We could like basically make this feature work in the new, what I call like the 5.0 really feature branch. I need to commit all my code into that release branch. I just rebased everything from main. So you could work off of that. There is stronger role-based access support. Probably that might be better just because if you implement this in 4x, there'll be a decent amount of refactor that will go in. So
okay.
Yeah, I mean, either case, even if you work off of main, I am happy to refactor it.
Is yeah, so the role-based access, that's is that done at the like, is there a primary control point in that, or is it something that like is a service that is being added and each of the like sub-agents and stuff would access the RBAC?
So the way I was envisioning this is that when a WebEx user talks to the bot, all we know, at least from a bot framework point of view, we know who that user is, and we know it basically is an event that comes to the bot proxy that we host. So that's all the information we get from that user. So my thought process is we need to be able to identify who that user is in our enterprise SSO and see if that user is even allowed to talk to our bot. That's like the basic role-based access to see if they have the right, is this user a registered user Or one of the things we try to do in Slack is to send a one-to-one message to that user saying, hey, you need to click here to register to our system. And that is one way to bootstrap that user. So they'll click there, they'll log in with SSO. We're creating basically a trust anchor saying that because you're already logged into WebEx using your Cisco SSO, we know that your email cannot be spoofed. Or it could be any other company's email address. Same thing with Slack. And on our identity broker, we let them log in with an SSO link that will redirect them back to our IDP, like Keycloak. That's what we're using. So Keycloak will basically keep an attribute between. Let's see if I have Keycloak running. I might be able to like demo this if I can bring up this environment. So the idea is that in Keycloak, a user with an email address will have a mapping of their Slack user ID, unique ID, and WebEx unique ID. So when the event comes in from that user, we know which channel or space they ask that question. So from that point on, whether it's the supervisor or dynamic agent will do a basic check. Are they allowed to talk to this space? Is this user allowed to talk? So once we make that determination, the agent will do the agentic loop and call whether it's a knowledge base or MCP server. So that's where we put in the agent gateway in the middle, and agent gateway will do another round of RBAC or reback, relationship-based access control, and say, does this user who belongs to this team, can they talk in this space, and can they actually call this knowledge-based tool? And if all of those attributes are satisfied, then the agent gateway, I just found out last week or in the last 10 days that it supports external OSC. So it can delegate policy decision point to an external PDP like OpenFGA. That's another CNCF project. So we can use OpenFGA to write relationship rules that are all encoded like in using the JWT tokens, role attributes, and say, okay, this user is allowed to talk to this tool, and then we retrieve that knowledge for that tool. So what that all sums up is that if there is a common tape instance like grid, we can create a relationship between a space, WebEx space that's, let's say, an open source community channel to a custom agent that has access to knowledge bases that are custom to your agent, like an MCP server, and all of that is linked that way. So a user coming in is validated that they can access this data, and then the agent will give that information. If a random user talks to this agent, even though they're logged in with SSO, the agent will say, sorry,
you don't have access. Or,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So the agent gateway is the primary enforcement point, and I guess the integration with the IDP is the main. Is that like the identity? I mean, the like what the dynamic agent would be. That's like the scope of the dynamic agent is to get the properties, I guess, from. Yeah, I'll have to read a little bit more on what.
This is all new. So I was thinking even the dynamic agent can do the same external OTC. So dynamic agent will also make another call to this PDP point, whether it could be Duo SSO or Duo security, or it could be OpenFGA, whatever the open source, like we will implement OpenFGA, but enterprises can use their own policy decision point engines. There are a bunch of both open source and commercial ones. I think my current thought process is every entity that needs to do a policy check will make an external OTC call and say, hey, I got this request. Is this user allowed user meaning the token that the user is presenting, are they allowed to do this thing or not?
Yeah.
Because WebEx user, the WebEx bot has to identify a user. That's where that initial bootstrap, like basically creating a token exchange. So that's the flow that I came up with is how do you identify and issue a token for a user that hasn't presented any credentials, right? Because this WebEx user who asked a question came to us as a event notification to the bot.
Yeah.
So we want to use their email address and say, okay, this email address can be trusted because we know that they already logged into Enterprise SSO, and to bind them to our internal like single sign-on, they can either do one-time bootstrap, or we can kind of implicitly assume that that email address is the one that the user sent, and there is like implicit trust, or we can do explicit trust, where they for a certain duration they'll get a unique login, they'll log in, and we do a bootstrap, and we can expire their trust anchor every 30 days or whatever, or we could keep it longer. That's pretty standard because I think other bots do very similar things with trust anchors, because the notification coming from a bot framework really doesn't identify the user with any other attributes.
Yeah. So you're being able to separately.
So using that, what we can do is use the bots like client credentials and say, hey, issue a token on behalf of this user, and then we'll use like the user's some cape significant attributes. Are they admin user or a local user, and can they chat with this agent or not? Maybe folks who are coming in from Slack and WebEx won't be able to do admin operations from those interfaces, because we really are
maybe just
trying to like create a derivative token for them, right? So
yeah, I mean, I think you still maybe want the authorization access the same architecture or design, because for example like a research bot or something that like, or a research agent that is being prompted by the WebEx bot or Slack bot, may not want to you may not want to give it access to some section of the you want only authorized data to be used for that user. But I mean, that's maybe a little like I'm wondering, I'm like, it seems like you might have to have a response, like essentially a human in the loop stage where the human the users got to essentially go to a access us authorization or authentication service that that the bot returns, right? And then there's some, like you said, like some window, this session is linked to this authorization token,
right,
and you have some scheme for that, which maybe is, I don't know what all the bot frameworks give you in that sense, but
it's definitely better.
Seems like a pattern.
Better than like static mapping or today.
Yeah, I don't think you want that.
Yeah. So I don't think most users who are doing that bot related stuff are like creating derivative tokens for the user with a lower privilege. And I think this is something I want to vet with a couple of security architects as well. That's another ongoing conversation. But basically, the idea is that we can do that kind of static mapping in the UI itself, and that.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, the WebEx must have, because they have like a workday bot, right? Like that can preserve your PTO, right? Like so they must have some framework that uses the WebEx authorization.
Yeah.
In the bot framework.
Yeah, I mean, I guess when you communicate with the bot one-to-one, so Slack has very good integration. I don't know how deep WebEx integration is. I need to double check how good that is. I think there is some. I'm pretty sure they're relying on email address to then do like service account
Yeah.
lookup in the
Okay.
background. That's my best guess.
And they just rely on the fact that you are authorized
Yes.
via the WebEx interface.
Yeah, that's definitely my best guess. I don't think there is. So WebEx internally has a different CI system because I used to work in WebEx. That
Yeah.
is not exposed to the bot framework. So WebEx internally
Mhm.
can identify the user as a first party. Like you can generate user tokens or go look up or do a user info query on the user, but the bot itself doesn't have that privileges. So if we had client credentials inside the WebEx common identity system, then we can go and ask about the user and get some more details. The bot token we get does not have that.
Yeah.
There is an option to create client credentials, but depending on the size of the org, we may have to go to the org admin vis-a-vis like Cisco IT to get that. That may be challenging.
Right.
So
I got you.
yeah, the bot
Okay.
framework is a bit different, where you have to mention the bot or it has limited privileges on what it can do. Obviously, it cannot go and query a user info on email address. Slack has a different level. Pretty, I think both of them have like the client credential flow. Depending on the size of the organization, those things are locked down usually. The client credentials for bots are locked down.
Okay.
Yeah. I can go over that if time permits, if I can bring up my stack. But Abdul, if you're ready, feel free to show.
I think you're on mute. I think Abdul. I don't know if anybody else can hear you, but
We can hear you. Yeah, if you can unmute yourself. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
I can hear you now.
yeah. Let me share it again. Yeah. So can you see my window now?
Yes.
Yeah. So at first we had just like a chat window where you could like ask supervisor anything and get things done. Right now, if you turn autonomous agents, if you enable it in the ENV, you'd get another list of chats which are like autonomous tasks. So right now I already have those, but you can create them. Let me show you how to create them later. But you can just click on this tag and you can see all the tasks which are running autonomously. And the way it does is that first of all, our inspiration was let's have another tab where you can like define new tasks. So most of the fields over here are optional. We and we thought that it should be like easy for the user to define any autonomous task and maybe like describe it at a very high level that okay, I want this task done at this time, uh, so no need to like fill in these values or something like that. So one way is that if you like are a developer or if you are like debugging something, so you could use this window and you can like define any task. So let me just click on any of this. So for example, these are the like tasks I defined, and you can just like enable or disable any task from here. So like for example, if you like disable any task, like it won't run. So, and it will also like show in the chat that the task is disabled. Like for example, over here you can see like this task is disabled. So like if you are to resume it, you have to like enable it. So if any task is enabled over here, you can see all the summaries, so all the runs over here, which are maybe based on like interval, or maybe based on like a webhook or something like that. So like these are all the tasks which I used. Uh, and the next thing which I wanted to show was, yeah, so like you could directly go to the thread. Like for example, over here you just click over here, you could go to the chat. So like the idea was that you don't have to like fill the form over here, right? Because it would just like slow you down. What you could do is that you could just directly go to the chat window, and you can ask it anything that can you like anything which is, let's say, schedule. For example, can you review all open PRs, or maybe like, yeah, open PRs in Marvin slash let's say, okay, I have my GitHub token, so you have to like just build this up. So right now it's just doing this thing now, but like what if you wanted to do it like on a scheduled basis? So let me get this done first, or maybe like let me open that. So whenever you ask it to create autonomous task, it has access to like list of autonomous tasks which it can use. So instead of just filling the form over there, you could just like say it over here at a very high level command, and it would like make that for you. And if I just go over here,
Is that writing to like back to the UI in MongoDB, or how is it going from the supervisor or
oh,
the
so
agent
yeah,
back to
so
the UI?
supervisor has access to, so like this is a different fast API service which is like meant to keep running 24/7. So it has access to like post requests over there, and like this receives the request at port 8002, and it writes to MongoDB. And whenever like you meet the requirements, let's say a time you meet the certain time or certain interval, it would fire those tasks.
Cool.
So you can see like the task is enabled. Sorry, task is, wait, let me, which one also? I think it didn't make like autonomous task over here. I was like digging in a lot of code, so I had to uh, go back to a different commit where everything was working on
Yeah,
one
but
was working. So
basically the idea is that you can prompt it to create the task or
yeah,
do it from UI.
but I don't know, like what's meant to be over here is that once you ask it to create autonomous tasks, this chat turns purple, and this goes over here. So
Okay.
I'll have to look at it. Maybe I'm not like on that commit which Ethan was testing on. So yeah, this is like the basic idea that uh, these tasks would keep running like autonomously, so you don't have to intervene. And another thing is that you could ask it to maybe like post to WebEx or Slack to keep you updated.
Mm-hmm.
So I've also like not tested it yet because Tun was testing, but you could ask it to like post these acknowledgements, let's say on WebEx, and maybe I did some of testing, but I don't.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's basically a WebEx tool call
Yeah.
that the bot, if it's part of the space, can go send a notification. Not a bidirectional back and forth, but you
We
have like checked together a
we
workflow that can
Yeah, we did
respond.
add like another we did add another like URL where you could post like the outbound messages from WebEx. So the bot, if you are like in a group with a bot, you could actually reply to it. So those replies would just directly come over here in chat, and
Okay.
you can maybe like chat back and forth with a supervisor, and so supervisor would be triggered by the outbound messages from the WebEx which you sent. Also, the this service which is on a different port, where which will like for example, if you ask it to, let's say, review any issues which are coming, so you could also simultaneously like talk to it, but it can also simultaneously like receive those commands via webhook, if it makes sense.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, like not the best demo, but I think like that's the basic idea. I'll have to see which branch they were testing on, and because I was just like cleaning up the env example and Docker files. So
Yeah, yeah, very good demo. I think this definitely shows the power of what's happening with triggers. I would definitely, I would say, not every organization uh, would use it like the triggers. So we need to make sure that the entire feature can be toggled on and off. I think you mentioned that that is an ENV.
yeah,
So we need to definitely enable it so that folks can turn it on, use a environment variable to turn it on or off. Uh, like I said, not every organization is ready to consume triggers.
yeah. So like I have like this. So like in the UI env and in the root env, I've added like one variable each, so it's easy to turn off. But I think it's also in the Docker file by default. So if it's not set in the UI env, I'll have to check. But yeah,
Mhm.
it's easily turn. It's easily able to turn off. And if you want, like you can like also allow like admin access, like if you're in development, or maybe like just turn it false, and only admin will be able to create this autonomous task.
Yeah, that sounds great. Tim, Sabrina, I know this is relatively new for you folks to see this, but any questions, thoughts?
Oh, it looks cool. The I guess from a enabling point of view, that's another thing you might want to like I guess transition to like the you, I think that you were saying with the admin like which only certain users can create triggered tasks or something, you know, that might be a thing that, but the capability looks generally like a good, really good idea.
All right. I think my demo is not fully up and ready, so I may skip showing that this week. There is a amount of skills integration that's coming, um, validating that, but it's probably more suitable for next week's demo. So we can do that next week. Any other?
I had a
Yeah. Mhm.
question on like say for example what Abdul was showing. Is is all that is like the workflow and trigger and all that, like, are they all tested manually, or is there automated testing that nightly or weekly, or is there some end-to-end type work that the project uses for validating?
So like for all the features, are you asking that did you all test
It's
it
kind of a
manually?
project level. Yeah, maybe it's like a project level question, not necessarily specific to the feature. But if you know, that would be awesome.
I don't know about that. Like so like the idea is that you should have like auto like weekly or maybe like something
Yeah.
automatically like testing features so like they are not down or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, some representative behavior
Yeah.
that uses each the necessary components at least,
Yeah.
to validate. Not so sometimes it can fall into like integration tests where you don't necessarily use the UI and you're just using, there's nothing there's maybe direct API calls to one service that triggers the flow that you want to validate. But like I'm just wondering what the state of that is like, because there's a lot of like UI level knobs and things that could be not totally functioning.
Yeah, I think that's a very valuable feedback. So right now we were just like testing it all manually. So
Yeah.
there was like not these integration testing, but yeah, I think that's a nice idea. We could have a look into that because yeah, because
I've definitely
there's a lot
seen.
of UI thing and maybe like anything because I think like one of the thing which I was really annoying when I was like just using it recently is that if because the tasks keep triggering at like different times, so like chats were like not in the order like like based on time, something like that. So all autonomous all like web related or maybe like autonomous tasks were like bunching up at the very top. So yeah, I think we need to like do that, like a lot of refinement which I was doing like since
Right.
morning. And yeah, and this like something like which like is integrated into it and just like test that these services are working instead of like doing manually. So yeah, you can definitely have a look at that because I think right now the feature is like almost complete, so like everything which is left is like refining it and making sure everything is working correctly and just all about the user experience.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've definitely been on projects where we have multiple services and within the solution, and the UI testing, UI driven testing was like essentially a sprint before, like in the release sprint, like we would just like go through a cookbook of like each individual would have some flow that they validate, some set of flows that they validated, and we track, who tested what, but it was manual, so it wasn't like, so that UI driven flow was all manual, and then we've had, and engineers were automating with some browser based tools that validated different browsers and stuff, but they would only really target, it took a while to automate, so they were a subset of the features were validated automatically. So yeah, it's not an easy problem to solve.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think since we have the backend microservice with the API endpoint, it's conceivable you could do some regression testing on the API itself. And you could also mock some of the LLM calls that, potentially test your microservice independently. I think what you are primarily interested in is the triggers that drive the agentic behavior. That's one. The UI testing is a bit more finicky. How these things show up on the UI. There are probably other frameworks that could do that. I think Playwright and a few other like Chromium-based frameworks could do that. You could just prompt the coding agent to write like scenario testing, but on the microservice side, you could do end-to-end testing there.
Yeah.
Really cool. I think if we don't have any other topics, I will we'll take a rain check on showing the skills and the demo for role-based access control for next week. We'll probably set up an internal instance for us to try it out. Sabrina, do you have anything else you wanted to share or add or questions?
I want to ask if this is, I send a link to the chat. Is this the same project that as you were working on? Because I'm not quite sure what is the scope
Yeah.
of the current project.
Let me share the link to the source code. Check what you posted. So this is the official project link. I think what you shared. Okay, that's a fork of sounds. This is quite an old fork from the project. So yeah, you use the official project that I just sent.
Okay.
And the documentation link is in the top right corner. And the folks, yeah, some of the UCL folks, they can help you set up GetCape up and running locally with the environment variables. And Tim, I will send you the environment variables to you as well.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay.
All right. So with that, we'll conclude this call today, and I'll post this notes and summary to our channel and YouTube. Thanks, guys. Have a good Monday.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.